Extreme Collectibles freaking the hell out because the statue's on my right side. It's usually on my left. So I'm going to move it after the intro, but I wanted to show the light up feature in his visor. I have his optic blast. I have a few pictures you'll see of it, but the cord is not very long at all. It's annoying when it's not very long. And yeah, you got it. So I have some pictures I'll show you, but I'll move them over. But let's review it. Super excited about this beast because he is a companion to my beast. Not that beast, you sicko. Mr. X checking in with a custom quarter scale Cyclops vs. Sentinel. This is from one of my favorite commission groups, and if you've seen my review on the custom quarter scale Beast vs. Sentinel hand, the hand looks like that. I'm actually, let's throw a picture of both of them up together right now. So this is both of them together. These two are the start of a massive X-Men line. I think it's 10 or 12 of them where they're all defeating different parts of the Sentinel. So very cool how they go together. But that was the first piece, I believe, from that commissioning group. And this is the second. And they have a number of pieces coming. Besides just the Sentinel, they have some other lines. And I'm all in on quite a few of them. Not all, but quite a few of them. But really excited about this guy. It's an ES of 40, so very rare, just like the Beast. He's got 875 was the retail plus a couple hundred shipping, and it's just massive. I knew it was going to be big. Beast was bigger than I thought it would be. This is bigger than I thought it'd be, so I guess I better buckle up for some of the rest of the line I'm getting. But I like it because it's kind of true to what an actual Sentinel would be, the size of it, so that's pretty neat. Came in standard, custom, black foam shipping. Had a really cool art box actually, even though I don't really care about art boxes, and it had a number of different pieces. So the base is one piece minus the metal or almost transparent plate, where underneath this is a additional light up piece you can buy that all the Sentinel pieces will have, and it can light up probably like 12 different colors. You can have it flash, you can have it strobe, you can have it do whatever you want. These are sold separately, but they're like $2. The only problem with these is they eat through batteries like crazy. So every single piece in this line will have it, and there's always kind of this clear, semi-clear, transparent piece, and you place it underneath it, and there's a remote. So that's kind of neat. Has a power light up, so the power cord goes right in the back, right here, as you saw, and we're going to show some pictures of the light ups. Actually, let's just do that now. So here's some pictures of the light ups, and we're going to talk about the switch outs in a second. So the AC power lights up the visor, and you have either the traditional no beams coming out or the beams coming out like this right here. Cyclops' torso minus his arms, head, and jacket are one piece, and it was interesting how they keyed in. So the one on the back here keys it in an angle, and there's a tiny metallic plug to generate the electricity up to his head. And then up here, the foot is a female and the base is a male, and you can semi-see it just the way he's sitting, but because it's almost a clear, transparent resin up here, it's really not that big of a deal. So kind of really unique engineering on that. His arms, his right, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say. Oh yeah, so his right arm and hand are all in piece, or left arm. I'm out of it today, but I'm just so excited. His right arm is one piece, and then he has two switch out hands. So his first one you see right here, kind of a closed fist. Not kind of, it is a closed fist. And then the other, he's holding Magneto's helmet. And then really quick, just to show you the visor's not lit up. So here's one without the optic beam, optic blast coming out. And here's one where it is coming out. And then the last thing you see is this was thrown in at the last minute, this mixed media jacket. Here's a picture of it. And then here is what he looks like without it. So I'm undecided on how I want it. So first of all, it is a bitch to get on. I mean, it is extremely difficult. I usually don't dress up dolls that often, despite what you read on the internet about me. And yeah, it is a bitch to get on, and I kind of want to keep it because I have another custom Cyclops versus Sentinel who doesn't have a jacket. So one with, one without, and I think this one I'll keep the optic beams, the without. I don't know if I'm going to do Mag's helmet or not, but so those are the pieces to it. No damage, no issues. It was packaged really well. I did have some slight damage to my beast, so really excited about that. I'm going to turn off the flashing now because those batteries just get sucked dry. I said 1 of 40. I think I covered all the other background info, so let's just go into concept and design. So they're all, every piece is kind of an action, not every piece. A lot of the pieces are kind of an action dynamic pose like he is. He's in the midst of battle. He's just destroyed the Sentinel, and I believe this is the Sentinel chest. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, and they're doing, you know, Sentinel feet and hands and head and all that good stuff. And he's destroyed this one, and he's getting ready to use his power with his left hand, I guess. Unagi. What's that from? So, you know, screaming, portrait in the midst of battle, kind of like the beast. So the beast just tore apart the thumb or the finger, and he's jumped on it. So I like that they all kind of follow that similar flow. I think Colossus is the next one coming out, and I don't have that one. I have another Colossus versus Sentinel coming. But then a Rogue, Jean Grey, or Phoenix. There's a whole line. I think there's a Cyclops. Yeah, there's a Cyclops. So very cool concept. It is kind of the rage right now. Everyone's doing X-Men versus Sentinel. So really the key is collectors, if you have the means, which collection do you go with? Do you stay with the same brand or commissioner or, you know, sideshow, or do you go all different? I'm kind of mixing it up, which doesn't look the best scaled together. As I've talked about before, Sideshow's Wolverine Premium format, the hand is like as big as my hand, which wouldn't make sense. But great pose, great action going on here. And the design, as I talked about, a lot of engineering in this, and I'm really impressed how everything works. It's a very smart way to avoid damages in shipping, the way they put everything together. Really, really neat. One thing I do want to say about this piece before I jump in, I purchased it based off the renders, and then I saw the prototype, and I actually didn't like it. I thought he was too bulky, which we're going to look at some pictures later. It really looked like too bulky, but here in person, it's a wow. I'm really impressed by this, which let's actually talk about the paint and sculpt now, which is what impresses me so much. So a lot going on here. I think there's some awesome parts to the base, and I think there's some okay parts. I am having trouble finding a non-awesome part about Cyclops, to be honest with you. Scott is awesome. But let's start at the base, and first of all, like the Beast, it kind of has that same rocky base on the bottom, and I'm going to give it the same review that I gave Beast. I think there could have been more texture, more color variation, because it just looks okay. There's not as much of it showing here. One of the things I really like is all these strewn parts throughout. And there's a lot of good detail and paint on those. I think it adds a lot to the piece. Then on Sentinel, I absolutely love the purple aspects, and you're seeing you know, the different shades of paint they put in there. And then there's some damaged pieces that could be from Cyclops's beam, or they could be just from something else. The gray parts of the Sentinel, kind of that wire tubing, I like the wear on there, but I don't like the sculpt that much. I think maybe some texture would have helped those. But I like how beat up it is, because as you guys know, a Sentinel isn't easy to bring down, so it's not just one hit and it's down. So I really like all that wear, and some of that wear is actually going to transfer over to Scott, which is... So you just saw every YouTuber's biggest frustration when you film an entire video and then you go to edit it and the last half is completely gone. So you have to go over it again. I already filmed the entire part of Cyclops, and trust me, I was funny as hell. So we're going to start over. Some of that wear, as I was saying, transfers onto Cyclops. Some of the damage, you can tell. So the last part of the Sentinel base is kind of that clear resin material. It's kind of the chest plate of Sentinel. It's half clear, half not clear. One of the reasons it's not clear is so you can't see the light below it. but look here where he's stepping. He's really smashing it. It looks like broken glass. Very, very cool. Very well done. It just really makes the entire piece pop. And then moving on to Cyclops, and this is where I said it just gets better and better, is first starting at his boots. Awesome, awesome job on his boots. I love the coloring, the classic yellow, but there's all this dirt and black and grime that's mixed in there. And that is only equally impressive. As equally impressive is the sculpt, whether it's the treads on his feet or the folds in his boots or the stitching on the side, or you can even see some of his calf muscles through it. And then at the top of his boots are these straps, yellow straps with some really cool metallic buckles and a lot of wear on those. And those same straps are also on his thighs and his wrists, which we're going to see in a little bit. Then moving on to his pants, I love the color. It's a fantastic Cyclops suit color, really reminiscent of the cartoon and comic X-Men. On the front, just a tiny bit of texture, but some really buffed out thighs and some quads, and then some cool texture on the inner part of his legs and the back. And then the stitching that just runs up the side really, really takes it to the next level. And then looking at his underwear, that same paint job that's on his boots, the yellow with the grime, the black added on there, and some cool folds because he is in that action dynamic pose. Then he has some pouches on the side that look good. I recently reviewed a Prime 1 Batman that had better pouches. I think they could have done a little more with the stitching and the depth of those. But that's being really nitpicky. His belt looks awesome. The X-Men symbol right on it. I love the colors on it. Really makes it pop. Then his torso has that same textured pattern that the inside of his thighs and the back of his legs do. And then it's even a little bit more different on the sides of his torso. And then moving up to his chest, again, that awesome muscle definition that's also in his abs. Then he has that cool yellow strap with a really realistic, it looks like a real buckle, and the X-Men symbol. And it has that black wear on it. Then even looking at his back here, awesome muscle definition and some cool seams in his costume. His gloves look fantastic, and again you see the straps that we saw on his legs and his boots, the double straps there. Really cool stitching on those. The underside of his left palm has this really incredible almost grip kind of texture to it, but you really can't feel it. It looks a lot rougher than it is. And then looking at his jacket here really quick, looks like a real jacket. It's obviously, it might be real leather. I think it's pleather, fake leather, but some cool stitching throughout it. The zipper is real, very cool. Then moving on to his portrait. So first, his suit actually comes up to the underside of his chin, which is neat. Then his hair looks fantastic. It's kind of blowing back in the wind like he's shooting his optic blast, because I would imagine there's some blowback from the wind on that. Some great coloring in there, that brown Scott Summers coloring. Then his visor, the only criticism I have is the removable part is a little less worn than the part that's attached to his head, so it differentiates quite a bit. I like how it's red, but you can still see, when the light is on, you can still see through it. And then his portrait is kick-ass. Awesome flesh tones in there. His nose sculpt is almost perfect, and then his expression on his face, and then the inside of his mouth, there's so much freaking detail here with the paint and the sculpt of the teeth and the tongue and the lips around it. Really, really cool. So that's the second time I've reviewed Cyclops. You didn't get to see the first time. Let me know who your favorite X-Men character is. Super excited about this piece. It exceeded expectations, as did Beast, especially since I was a little worried. It's fantastic. It really is. I can't speak to the other custom Cyclops out there because I haven't seen them, but this looks fantastic. It's going to be an awesome addition to the X-Men wall. Probably my biggest display wall that I'm working on. So really appreciate you guys watching. As I said, let me know who your favorite X-Men statue is, and make sure to subscribe and hit that bell if you haven't. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Oh, I'm about to unbox Apocalypse, a custom Apocalypse, so it's a great day.